Hello and welcome to this new feature overview video. This is for the AI-enabled bone filling tool available in V-2024.06. So this tool can be found in the image processing tab in the additional group bone filling. It's a very simple to use tool. You select your mask input and hit apply. But before we do so, I want to explain a few things about how it works, why we've developed it. So if you're using a traditional CT segmentation processing workflow, you'll be used to using, say, a threshold operation, like such, and this would produce a mask like so. I'll just bring that onto the screen. So something like this, no separation yet. We've captured a bone preset from the CT values or the Hounsfield units, and this will provide us with a really good starting point for further processing. You could use it as is, but typically from this point people want to separate the bones and then to solidify them in most cases. Typical workflows would include, say, 3D printing, or for simulation workflows, or where you just need the outside surface and want to reduce the complexity of the file. As you can see, the threshold picks up the majority of the bone, but there are significant gaps and holes due to low bone density, resolution perhaps, where it's not captured the cortical bone. So you get regions like the area around the top of the femur here, in this case the left femur, where it's just simply missing. In a lot of cases you can simply paint these in, use some close filters, but on more complex bone shapes you need something with a bit more intelligence, and hence why we've developed the AI bone filling. Before we get into that, we need to separate these out. So a typical approach would be to use a split regions tool. If you need further help on this, please refer to the tutorials. This allows you to, say, use markers. So we've got some presets here for the hip, and you just create your markers on the thresholded bone, whether in 2D or 3D, and then hit apply. What we would see at the end is something like this. So I've pre-prepared this already. So you can see each bone is now a separate mask, separated only, so no further operations so far. I'm just going to switch to a 1 2D, 1 3D view. So the objects we'd like to fill in, so we're going to go with probably the more complicated ones from this one, the two examples. So first of all, L5. So we'll just go and isolate L5. We can see on the 3D that we've got a reasonable starting point from the bone CT threshold preset, but there are some gaps and holes you can see here that we need to fill in, especially at the back of the vertebral body here, and also on the edges here of the processes, and these are quite evident in the 2D as well. Probably more so if I switch to the axial view here, like so. So how do we make this solid? So you could go through paint, you could use some closing filters, but in this case the closing filter brings you the risk of actually closing up features that you want to keep, like these areas here in where the spinal cord goes. So we need something with a bit of intelligence, and that's where the AI bone filling comes in. So what we'll do, we'll make a copy, we'll go to the bone filling and hit apply. A simple one click takes somewhere between 10 and 30 seconds depending on the size of the object, and it uses a set of intelligence to fill in the areas it needs to. So it won't blindly fill in any region, it will do so with some sort of inbuilt know-how about what a bone should look like. And that's done reasonably quickly. We can see it's updated the 3D view for us as well. And if we just look at the new AI bone filled model in this case, we can see that it's now completely solid. If I go back through, say, to this region, so it's not filled in here, for example, it's filled in the processes as well. And if we bring in this one again, you can see how it's filled in these very large regions here. Sometimes you can put the original above, and then in the 3D you get a better picture of what's going on. So with a bit more smoothing or whatever you need to do next, that's now ready for your next steps in your workflow. Right, next step is on to the probably more complex example, the sacrum. So in 3D, you can already see that it's quite challenging to reconstruct this into a solid object. You'll know if you use our AI automatic segmentation tools, it does this for you. But if you don't have access to those, you now do have access to this AI bone filling. So if you start off with a mask like this, you can see the sort of challenges it's facing, lots of missing regions. So without further ado, I'll just create a copy again and hit apply. And that's all you need for the input. The input is only a threshold and then a split mask. So individual bone with a sort of threshold preset, and the filter here will do the rest. Okay, so it takes a little longer because it's on a slightly larger region, but there we go, it's filled it in. If we look in 3D here, it's much more solid. We've still got the nerve holes there as well. If I make the copy above it, then we can see how it's trying to fill that in. So sometimes it's a little tricky to see, but that's looking good. Let's have a look in 2D, and you can quite quickly see how it's looking in terms of preserving the holes where we want it to be holes and not. So maybe needs a little bit more tidy up here and there, but on the whole it's probably got you 90%, 95% of the way there with just a bit of touch up. So rather than kind of doing a lot of manual work, you've kind of got a very nice output from here. There we go, and let's bring in L5 again, the one we worked on. So, sorry, it was the copy, wasn't it? There we go. Any questions, please do get in touch. We look forward to hearing your feedback on this new tool. Thank you very much.